I'm like you, Claire, so I just wing it.
Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Two-part question. First, you went into camp with a couple of kickers, and you've decided to go with neither one of those, and you're going with Maher. What went into that determination to go with him now?
You know, I just had a chance to visit with Laram this morning, and I tell you, I really liked the way, you know, he came in here, and it was, you know, he took control of the competition early, and that was very evident. But you know, he really improved it during this time here too. So, but you know, Brett, we were just really trusted the numbers. I mean, this 80 cut is difficult. I'm sure all teams are feeling that way today, and it just you know you start factoring the, you know, playing this last game and so the other factors. So we just felt Brett was in front, and we wanted to give him this opportunity to be the kicker, to be the guy, you know, in preseason 3. So, but Laram, you know, definitely gave him a run, and I thought he did an excellent job in his time here.
And the follow-up on that is, will you still be watching the waiver wire pretty closely here going into the regular season at kicker, or have you seen enough from Maher where you feel good about that?
I think that's really up to the players, you know, and you know, just, you know, single out, you know, Brett. You know, it's just like anything. You know, our personnel department's watching all those teams and so forth. But you know, we had a chance to work out Brett last year and Laram, if you remember the contest, and I think he is. He's you know, just the way he's striking the ball. I mean, I've just been so impressed with him since starting with the workout too. So, and if you look at his kickoffs, you know, it's you know, something was probably the difference between both him and Laram. That, you know, we gave him the nod too. So, you know, and that's part of the reason why we you know, tried to create an opportunity for the long field goal. So, you know, he definitely has excellent leg strength, and he's kicking with a lot of confidence right now.
Clarence Hill for Star Telegram. When do you want to hope to get out these 2 night practices, and have you made a decision on Dak and the starters for Friday night yet?
Yes, really this week is going to be very similar to the last 2 weeks. You know, we want to practice our first group as much as we possibly can tonight and tomorrow night. So, you know, we're going to be padded practices, you know, 2 hours, you know, type practice. Not quite the install mode, but next 2 hours plus. So not about 2 hours, but yeah. So we're really following the same suit as we did the last 2 weeks.
So that means mainly reserves in the third game, as far as the
We're going to work our ones as much as possible these next 2 days, and just like I did. I mean, and then how we come out of these 2 practices will determine. So if we can get the ones enough work and everything goes the way I anticipated, that then we will play the third game like we did the first 2 games.
Mike Todd, Archer with ESPN. How do you gain confidence? You've had these guys around and seen it on the practice field, but how do you gain confidence if you've not seen it in a preseason in terms of what your starters can do going into the opener?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, it's, you know, it's not cut and dry. I mean, because, you know, when you do play preseason games, you know, what's the opponent doing too? So I mean, you could pick apart whether you play your ones in preseason or not. You know, that's the beauty of statistics. I mean, it depends on what story you're trying to write. Usually you can lean in one way or the other. So I get both arguments. But I'll say this, you know, if you look at the amount of work that our first group has been able to achieve, you know, working the one practice at Denver, you know, the 2 practices in Irvine against the Chargers. So for the volume of that quality of work, the competitiveness, where you truly have ones versus ones, which is not always the case in these preseason games, because you know you don't have control of how the other guy's playing too. I feel very good about our plan and the execution of our plan. You know, obviously you lower the risk of not playing certain guys in the game. You know that's part of the formula of doing it this way. But what I really like is the quality of work of the ones versus the ones. When you have both coaches agree to rep the you know, those periods are laid out specifically, like, you know, who's in every rep. So you definitely have more control of getting your ones paired up against their ones in this practice environment. And then on the flip side of it, and this is something that I've always loved, and it's even been magnified, is the quality of reps that our young players have been able to get done these first 2 games have I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I've never seen offensive linemen get 30 or 40 reps on a Wednesday or Thursday practice and go play 75 plays in a game. So our younger players have benefited from this format more than our veterans, and I wasn't totally on top of that because I didn't expect our young guys to take as many reps on the practices, but that's just kind of the way it worked out. So this has been very good for us. So I feel very good about our readiness at this point of training camp.
When you were laying out your training camp plan back in June or whenever you did it, was it with the idea of not playing your starters at all, or did you kind of thought, okay, well, I want to get them somewhere?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that was at the forefront of the conversation with both clubs that we work with. Just that, how we're going to practice, who's going to practice, how many reps the ones will go. In the rotation of the ones and the twos. So I mean, you guys were at the practice. You saw how it rolled, and I thought that was very beneficial for both teams.
Mike
Calvin
Joria.
Watkins. Sorry. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Along those lines, your younger receivers have gotten a lot of work. How have they benefited from, obviously, getting a lot of time with Dak and Cooper and those guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both CD and Noah. So we're down, and so it's been great for those young guys to get reps with Dak. So, and just like anything, it helps them not only grow as far as being with the starting quarterback, but also it helps them get prepared to play in those games too, because it's all about the speed of the game, and when the game slows down for these young guys, that's when that's a huge threshold to get over. And some guys get there a little quicker than others, and but right now it's kind of going fast for some guys, and but I think our young guys have done a nice job.
One more, if I may. Joe Witt, will he be back on the field this week?
Yeah, Joe will not be here tonight, but he's doing great. He feels strong, and he's chomping at the bit. I mean, he would have been back last week if they let him. So, but yeah, he's making a lot of progress. Hopefully next week we'll have something to announce.
Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Speaking of the receivers, Michael Gallup looks like he's making progress, moving pretty well in his rehab, running some routes off in Los Angeles. If you had to guess based on his progress, do you think that there's at least a shot he comes back maybe late September?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's just you know how this fourth quarter goes in the rehabs. But all I can tell you is, when we have the meeting every morning, Britt Brown is obviously running the rehab, and he feels really good about Michael's progress as far as his timeline and so forth. He hasn't had any setbacks, and I hope we will continue to be blessed, with that process. So, but he's doing really well.
Mike Joria, with USA Today. You've talked about how you want players to do at least two things for you on a roster. When you see a guy like Kavontae Turpin have the special team success he had last weekend, how does that impact what the philosophy is for him on offense?
Well, I think you'll see how he'll be repped tonight and tomorrow, and then you'll see how he plays Friday night. So, yeah, he's gonna be given some more opportunities in the receiver rotation. I think he has shown great patience, confidence in the return game. So I feel very good about where he is right now there. But I think you'll see him get some more opportunities as a receiver.
Skyler Dixon with the AP. It seems like you weren't 100% sure how the joint practices versus preseason thing would play out. Exceed your expectations the way it worked? How would you look at it now that you're through those?
Well, I think it's like anything. I mean, we all have a hell of a plan when you put it to paper. So, I mean, I've always liked the way it looked on paper, but until you go through it. And once again, I've never done a joint practice as a head coach. I've been there as an assistant coach. And, and frankly, the memories I have about joint practices were the fights, and that's not really, I mean, for us to travel as much as we did, to be in Denver for 3 nights and to be in Irvine, California for 4 nights, we weren't really interested in that. So, but the quality of work was very high, and to get the quality of work in back-to-back days in Irvine, I was very, very pleased with that.
In determining on the starters and playing preseason games, how do you weigh the level of execution and the work they've gotten versus the overall health versus the fact this core has kind of been together for a while as far as being comfortable making that decision to potentially hold them
Oh,
out?
I think it's no different than, the way I do my job. Is I'm sure it's similar how you do your job. At some point, you got to lay out the priorities, and health is the number one priority, and it always has to be. And I think all coaches are guilty of pushing the envelope some, because I know the thing that I've always find very challenging as a head coach. When you sit there and we pay so much attention to, the GPS. We're trying to battle this fatigue injury, that everybody goes through. Coming, the ramp up part of it. So I mean, just all the science behind that. But at the end of the day, the question I always ask every strength coach that's ever worked for me is where is the stress for the mental and emotional challenge? So where is that coming? And that's why I think you see, I thought we did a lot last year, but we even exceeded it this year. That's why we do so much competitive situational work against each other, because we're trying to create that game-like situation, and and we have a very, very competitive football team. So and the defense is a tad ahead of the offense in that area right now. So I trust our practice environment. I mean, in hindsight, I won't leave Oxnard till we have to next year. I mean, I'd consider staying there this week if it works out. I just think our practice environment in Oxnard, man, I'll tell you what, I just have been so pleased with it. We get a lot of work done there. We're able to go heavy 2 days in a row, and the recovery's in place. The weather is a huge part of it. So, I think the 11-hour workday helps the players, so they definitely have the regeneration period to recover it in the evening. So, and that's something that over the last 2 years, I think Oxnard has been a tremendous asset for us to train.
What changed for you there? Because I remember you were unsure about Oxnard going to the California, so now maybe you stay out longer. Did anything change?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's probably Clarence more than anybody, but I was nervous about Oxnard, because everybody just kept talking about how much fun you had out there. So I mean, I never heard anybody talk about, hey, the football was good, the practices were great. It was just about, it was everything but football. I mean, someone said anything about Oxnard, it had nothing to do with the football team getting better. So yeah, what coach wouldn't be nervous if you never went out there before that? And that's not the case. I mean, I don't, and I've been around some great training camp environments, but to have the practice field, a 2-minute walk from your dorm room, and then your offices is another minute walk from there, and the cafeteria is, 10 more steps from that. I mean, it's beautiful, and it's extremely functional. So we're able to get a lot of work done there.
For the record, I've had no fun at Oxnard.
You got to put that camera on. That's not. Let me give some advice. I never lied to the media when out there, so you might want to.
Just get back to the injured guys and who's available. CD, Noah Brown, Greer, Kurse. Can you just tell us?
I mean, those guys will all be working early in the prehab, but the goal is for those guys to work. So we'll see how they come out. I know Will wants to work today. CD wants to work, but he has has to deal with the situation with his toe, and Noah, we're gonna have to work him early to see if he. So they're all trying to work back into practice today.
McEwen in the same boat?
No, I don't. He will not practice today.
So
He's in a rehab, but if he makes it, then that's it was an if this morning. So a maybe. I mean,
Anybody else coming out of the game with injuries or?
no.
If Greer goes, would you like him to start to see him work with whoever your quote ones are?
Oh, I would like to see Will play as much as he possibly can. That's definitely the plan. He's had some excellent practices, in Oxnard, and I'd like to see him get, a big chunk of Friday night if possible.
Hi, Mike. Bria Marie at the Sports Illustrated. How would you evaluate your depth at running back behind Zeke and Pollard?
Oh, I think we got excellent depth. I mean, I think, if you look at Rico's, from preseason 1 to preseason 2, I thought he played extremely well against the Chargers, and he looks like he's back, coming off of that season-ending injury from last year. And I love our 2 young guys. I think our 2 young guys has run as well as any 2 running backs I've ever had. So I really like a running back room.
Got some tough decisions to make there.
Oh yeah, we got big time tough decisions. Good situation to be in.
When you look at what Zach Martin's accomplished for his career, is it tough to not take him for granted at all because he's been so good since the day he got here?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Zach's, everything, as advertised. You're watching him from afar. You always admired the way he played, but he's here all the time. I mean, he's here. I mean, the season's over, and he's one of the first players back in the building. So just so consistent in everything he does, and he's a true pro. He's a great leader. He's an awesome teammate. So he's, like I said, he's been everything I thought he would be and more.
Thank you.
Thank you.